have to see the background.
Okay.
Good evening, and you are welcome to this exclusive interview powered by Edinburgh Television. Now, this week, we have been looking at understanding the Middle Belt as a key factor to unify Nigeria and create a new political atmosphere in preparation for the 2023 general elections. Now, to understand the people, we decided to go back and analyze the history, which led us to this topic today: political alignment between the South and the Middle Belt, a historical perspective. And here as our guests, we have Prince Rwang Pam Jr., and we also have Mr. Samson Alpha. Thank you so much, both of you, for coming today. Mr. Pam, we can't hear you.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Pam, we cannot hear you. Mr. Pam?
Thank you. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now.
On mute.
Okay, so
okay.
Let us start with Mr. Pam. Historically, which states do you think, or will you say, make up the Middle Belt region? Sorry.
The number of states. Hello.
Yes, we can hear you. Please go ahead.
Hello.
Okay. You mean the number?
Okay.
Okay. Well, we know the Middle Belt historically. I am not a historian. I must confess that right from the onset. But I know we have Kogi, Niger, Kwara, Benue, Plateau, and by Niger implication, the FCT. We have Southern Kaduna. We have southern part of Bauchi. We have Taraba, which is mostly the former Gongola state, and of course Benue and Plateau states. Those are basically, to my knowledge. There could be more a little up north, but so far that's what I know. I don't want to say much more than what I know.
Okay, do you agree with this, Mr. Alpha? Mr. Alpha,
yes,
are you there?
Can you hear me, Augusta?
Yes, we can hear you.
Augusta,
do you agree with the states he just? Yes, okay, I can hear you. Do you agree with the states he just mentioned?
I agree with it. Yes, I agree with it, but it is actually more than that. I would list them the territories of the Middle Belt. The territories of the Middle Belt are Kogi, Kwara, Benue, Nasarawa, Plateau, Niger State, Southern Kebbi, Abuja, Southern Kaduna, Taraba, Southern Borno, Southern Adamawa, Southern Bauchi, Southern Yobe, and Southern Gombe. Those are the territories of the Middle Belt, also called Central Nigeria. A very good affiliation for the Middle Belt is Central Nigeria, which actually consists of both the Muslim part of the Middle Belt and the Christian part. So,
okay, Mr. Alpha, I would ask you to please, Mr. Alpha. Mr. Alpha. Mr. Alpha. Your audio is breaking up. I would ask you, Mr. Alpha, I would ask you to please try to look for a place that has better network, because your audio is breaking up and we can barely hear you.
Okay.
Thank you. Now let's go back. Thank you. Let's go back to Mr. Pam. Mr. Pam.
Yes, I'm with you.
Mr. Alpha, I'll have to mute you for a while and try, so you can try to fix your audio so we can go ahead with the interview. Mr. Pam.
Okay,
Mr. Pam, can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Now, we are talking about a political alignment between the South and the Middle Belt. Is there any historical basis where this alignment can hold? Have this happened before? And do you see a future of this alignment?
Yes, it has happened before. When there were, Nigeria was just 3 regions: the North, South, the Southwest, Southeast, or the West and the East. It was clear that the North was bloated, and for political reasons, there were agitations for the creation of the Midwest as well as the Middle Belt. The champions of the Middle Belt Forum were basically a gallant Benue warrior, or J.S. Tucker. I think he was a senator. So they pulled together people of like minds from the then Benue Plateau State and Benue Plateau region, and tried to come and agitate for the creation of a Middle Belt. There were several meetings held down in the South, in Lagos and other places, and even in the Middle Belt. I got this directly from an uncle of mine, the father of the late GNS Pojok. And he told me personally they held meetings right here in Jos South, Bukuru, with the late Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe, and also Chief Obafemi Awolowo, blessed memory. So it was a strong movement, and everybody understood that there was a need to reduce the overbloating power of the North. The North has always had an agenda, and the agenda is strictly to dominate. One thing I must point out here is, like, since then, hello, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Please go ahead. Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead, please.
Okay. One thing we need to point out here, that our leaders, our elders, realized a little late that for the Northern, for the House of Fulani or Ligoki, politics and religion is one. But for most of us who are within the South and the Middle Belt, who are Christians, the state is separated from religion. And right from our churches, we're just concentrating on faith matters and not being brought up to realize that we need to be politically conscious. It was all faith, faith, faith all the way. But let me give you a news flash. As far as the House of Fulani is concerned, their holy book teaches them that wherever you go to the capital, make friends with the king, so he'll be a defense for you. And whatever happens, stay around the seat of power. And they have used that to the latter to this day. In states where you find them dominating or putting up forces, they are just in the capital. The same thing with Lafia, the same thing with Mina. When they capture the capital, they begin to do all sorts of things. And that's what's happening to Jos North. So yes, it has happened in the past. So, but when they met in one constitutional conference then, or something like that, they were able to give the Midwest a state. And that was just to curb the power and the political votes of the South. But they refused to acknowledge or give the Middle Belt region. Yes, it has happened before. After that, the whole thing went into cold water. There were civil wars, there were all this and that. It just went into cold water. They have one simple rule: divide and conquer. When they come to us in the Middle Belt, they have a popular adage, Anteba Ariwa, which means the north has been touched. Somebody has touched the north. And they deceived our fathers, who were not very literate then, talking about the 60s, that we are one. And we make the bulk of the army. Anytime they have opportunity to have somebody who is not learned, they can brainwash, they use. But the inside agenda is always decided in their secret meetings, where other so-called northerners are not there. And it's still happening. Thank you.
Okay, now let's try to get Mr. Alpha. Mr. Alpha, is your audio better now?
Yes, I think I can hear you clearly now. Can you hear me now?
Yes, it's way better now.
I can hear you clearly now. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay.
Now, let me ask you, the Middle Belts have vehemently opposed being called North Central. How come that this identity is a recent struggle? How come it was not there historically? For a long time, it's how the Middle Belts have been referred to as the North. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Please go ahead. Did you get my question?
I can hear you.
Did you get my question?
Yes, I got your question. Yes, yes, I got it. For the Middle Belt, I think it's there is a kind of limitation the created state tried to create that actually got us to the position of what we call North Central. The word North Central is a new diction. You know, it was a recent word. Originally, the North was made up of two basic substructures, which is the Hariwa part of the North, popularly called the Far North or the Core North, which consists of the Kanuris, Hausas, and the Fulanis, and others. While the south part of the North is basically the Middle Belt. Historically, they were called northern minorities. The northern minorities is what we call the Middle Belt today, which consists of the plateaus, consists of Kogi, Kwara, Benue, Nasarawa, Niger, Southern Kebbi, Southern Kaduna, Taraba, Abuja, Southern Borno, Southern Gombe. So it should be limitation on our part to call it North Central. It is actually limiting ourselves by calling it North Central. North Central is not the right word for it. The right word is Central Nigeria. And Nigeria actually comprises of North Central and some other parts of Central Nigeria includes the Southern Borno, Southern Adamawa, Southern Bauchi, Southern Gombe, Abuja, and Kebbi and Southern Kaduna. Those are the other parts that are not in the North Central, but they are part of the Middle Belt. So it will be limiting on our part to call ourselves North Central. That is not the right word. The right word, the right appellation is Central Nigeria. So we need to extricate ourselves the boundary created by the military dictators. When they were creating states, they decided to actually lock Middle Belt territories into Ariwa and enjoy major domination. So the Middle Belt communities will be minorities in those states. At every point in time, out of the 19 northern states, that people want to make sure that at every point in time, they produce 12 out of those state governors. Then they will give at least 7 for the Middle Belt. In the nutshell, it is in the interest of the Middle Belt to create states out of that region for ourselves, rather than to be lumped up together with those people.
Okay. I'll have to go back to Mr. Pam. I can hear you, but Mr. Alpha, your audio is still really bad.
Hello?
So you forgive me again.
Augusta.
Yes, I can hear you, but it's still breaking up. So I'll ask you to please try to fix your network or do something about that. We could barely hear your answer. It's still breaking up.
Can you hear me well now?
Okay, yes. Better now.
Yes, that's better. That's better. Now, I want to ask you, still on Mr. Alpha. Mr. Alpha,
Hello.
Yes. Now, the Middle Belt is made up majorly of Christians. Do you think that the Muslims in your midst
So that is the
identify
situation of
themselves?
things at the moment.
Yes. Do
So-
you think the Muslims in your midst, can you hear my question? Do you think the Muslims in your midst identify themselves as Middle Belterners, or do they identify themselves as North Central? Mr. Alpha. Let's go back to Mr. Pam. Mr. Pam. Mr.
I'm
Pam.
with you.
Okay, I was trying to ask Mr. Alpha. I said, do you think the Muslims in your midst, do they identify as the Middle Belterners, or do they identify as North Central?
Of course, they prefer to call themselves North Central. You see, we have lived with them for a long time. And like I said earlier, for there's no distinction between politics and religion. In fact, power is a major tool of religious domination and religious propagation. Once you have power, you have resources. When you have resources, then you can buy people over. So once it comes, and they always have a way of speaking with both sides of their mouth. I'm sorry to say, but that is a clear truth. If they're going to gain anything from you, they'll dance to your tune. If they are parleying with you, that means they're still waiting for something to sip from you, to siphon from you, to parasite it out of you. But once they've gotten that, you are either used and condemned, or you turn to an enemy automatically. So yes, they call themselves, most of them call themselves North Central, because they prefer to align with the caliphate, religious-wise.
Okay, remember that you can join us on this conversation simply by raising up your digital hand, and I'll try to accommodate as much questions and comments as time permits. Now, historically, we have seen the Middle Belters have sided with the North in major political decisions. Why do you think this has been the case?
Middle Belters, historically. I would agree with that in part. And but there are two reasons. You know, once you have the funds, once you have power, they will give the Fulani allegory, also Fulani, they will always give anything they can to further the religious agenda, including sponsoring leaders within the Middle Beltern state. As long as they can manipulate you, as long as you tobale to them, they can sponsor you and use you. So unfortunately, all parts of Nigeria, we have persons like that. We have persons who are more interested in the name, the fame, and the financial inducement more than their ethnic patriotism, if there's a phrase like that. And you'll always find it, and some desperate politicians, in order to outsmart or to beat the other one, they would go and bow down to the caliphate for support. So once you have sold your conscience at that level, they get you into governance, and they always make sure you swell your hands in one thing or the other. So that ropes you up. From that time on, if you speak, you'll be brought up, accused, dismissed, and disgraced. So we have had leaders one or two occasions that they have already been caught in that trap. There are news and there are facts about what they have done, that it's not with collecting money or any other thing like that. And they use it to hook them and pin them down. Majority of the Middle Beltons, however, are free from that. We're not all stooges. There are a lot of powerful people, young people, elderly people who are strict, who are honest, who are conscious about what is going on around, but they may not have all the financial backing to do that. The people in power control the resources. When you control the resources, you have the finance as well. So they decide who they pick up, and they always pick up those people that will dance to their tune. If we have had that, yes, in those instances, yes. However, if you check the Constitution of the National Assembly, you find out that there is always a segment of the middle belt that still stands up strong. They have stayed walkout. They have protested against whatever decisions are going. In fact, you notice that lately within this current Senate, there's their channel on GoTV and the rest of them, the parliament. What all the nominations that come from the presidency, they are not allowed to argue. They say this has come, we are asked to agree or endorse the nomination. And some of them raise objection. Are we supposed to endorse nominations or represent our people in questioning the federal character constitution of these appointments? They say, no, we'll do something about that, but in the meantime, we just have to nominate. And that's how they've reduced to rubber stamps. It is almost out of their league. We have people who are speaking, but they already control the house there. And we have a few people who cannot speak because they don't have the power to. Their mouths are shut. But right now, we have more people that can speak, but we don't really hold the power. So decisions may be flowing to the other side because they have planned this for a long time, trapped our leaders, and the few of our leaders who are able to represent us well are not really enough to pull the strings or the weight we want them to pull.
Okay, now, considering this analysis, you part of Nigeria can trust the middle belt, and how can the middle belt trust the southern part, considering that the relationship have not been all that friendly?
Okay, there is a tradition I gathered somewhere around Taraba that if a man and his wife have conflict, and she should make his favorite dish, or precisely, she should make yam and chicken soup. If he eats it, it is over. There is no more conflict between them. In our current situation, we have a common denomination. Our common, like the Chinese will always say, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. By default, even if it is somebody I don't know, but I know that person is the enemy of my enemy, automatically he becomes a friend. It's just like an armed robber or thieves are attacking your neighbor's house who you don't speak with. At that point, you should know that whenever he finishes with the neighbor, he will come to you. So it is, we have no option now than to have this alliance concretized. We have more reasons than our forebearers to come together and work together. We don't even have a choice. If anybody is still considering that, okay, maybe we should still discuss it, the person is not in Nigeria. The person doesn't actually know what's on the ground. In all the appointments in the federal government, we have been marginalized. In fact, even the Southwest that put the current government in power, they don't have anything. It's only the office of the vice president. Newsflash. The president was off constitutionally for a number of these that the constitution allows the vice president to take his place. Did they agree? No. People have to fight. How can Osibanjo be? He is the vice president. He should just assume the seat, just for him and let him continue before the president comes back. No, they wouldn't agree. So even the Southwest have been shortchanged. Look at the distribution of our ministers. Those that were given from the Southeast, Southwest, and the Middle Belt, there are offices that are dormant, even if they have got good titles. No funds is sent to anywhere that a Southerner or a Middle Beltian is in charge. They don't send funds. If instead of allowing, let's say, Dame Pauline Talent, who is in the Minister of Women Affairs and to handle palliative. They created a new agency to make sure that somebody of theirs handles it. We don't know the number of new agencies, in fact, till today that have been created silently, and we just hear, "Whoop, there's this one." As long as we're not united, we'll keep on being marginalized. So we have a greater reason now to come together. It's an issue of the fly and the bee. They are both insects. But when you look at the flies, they come alone. They just scavenge on carcasses and dirt and survive on it. And they call them pesky flies. But touch one bee. Anywhere the bee goes, it will go. In the next 15 minutes, you'll find 5 other bees looking for that missing bee. They stick together, so they make honey. What do flies make? They are killed anyhow. Nobody kills bees anyhow. So we have to decide whether we'll be flies to be killed at random, at anybody's discretion, or we decide that we are bees who unite together, form a colony, and become formidable. The need for us to align cannot be overemphasized.
Okay, let's try to get Mr. Alpha back. Mr. Alpha.
Okay,
Mr.
yes,
Alpha.
I think I can hear you better now.
Okay,
yes,
thank
I can
you.
hear you better now. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. We can hear you. Let's hope that the audio is still is stable. Now, what is the cause of the present day quest for a middle belt identity that is distinct from the core north? Did you hear my question?
I'm sorry.
I said, can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
I'm sorry, I didn't get your question.
I said, what is the cause of this present day quest for a middle belt identity different from the core north?
Yes, I think there is a need for that because even historically, when you look at it, the issue of identity of the middle belt has always been an issue of concern. Initially, prior to independence, when we were about to take our independence as early as 1955, there have been issues between the middle belters and the core north. Even prior to independence, by 1958, there was already civil riot. Most middle belters did not even join the Northern Party at that time, Northern People's Congress. They decided to form their own parties. We have the parties of DSACA, United Middle Belt Congress, which was between Benue and Plateau at that time. We also had the one for Kwara people, the Lori Karako, whereby we have DS Olawoni. So when you look at it, there was no monolithic north from the beginning. But what the Arewa people have moved to do was to actually use the modernization program at that time to actually use it to dominate, training psychological domination in such a manner that the people believe that the entire north, they are Fulani. When you get to some other parts of Nigeria where you mention north, they think you're actually talking about the Hausas. And that is one of the reasons whereby there is a need for the middle belt identity, because the middle belt is the biggest part of the north in itself. I talk about the landmass. It's the biggest part of the north. Then the northern minorities need to come to the understanding of that to create a new identity. So historically, there was not really one monolithic north. Truly, we had the Northern Nigerian Protectorate, but within the Northern Nigerian Protectorate, we basically had the majority not at that time, which was the Hausa Fulani, and we had the northern minorities. The northern minorities were prior to independence wanted their own region, and that was what brought us to Willing's Commission. When the white man felt
Mr. Alpha, I think we lost him again.
Yes, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you. Please go ahead. You were saying something.
I can hear you. Okay, yes. I said At that time, there was northern minorities. We had northern minorities which were the middle belt. We actually wanted our own. We actually wanted our whole region prior to independence, and we were supported majorly by the action group the political party in the southwest, and NCNC in the southeast. They supported our quest for that at that time for a region. But at that time, the colonial masters were more comfortable with one monolithic north as the means of dominating the country. So they had to devise a means to evade that and to say, okay, after independence, they will create new regions. They set up a committee called Village Commission to look into the matter. But at that time, the whole objective was, in the real sense, not to create a region for the people of northern minorities. And at that time, the northern minorities were not able to aggregate themselves into a political party. At that time, we had a lot of parties in the northern minorities. We have UMBC, we have MBF, we have all those political parties, and all of those political parties. But now there is a need for that identity. If there must be emancipation and liberation of the northern minorities, which is now the central Nigeria. We in central Nigeria must now see ourselves as one people, with one destiny to liberate ourselves. Without that, we would keep on being marginalized. So for us to be able to evade marginalization, there is utmost need for a distinct identity at this time, because there was never a monolithic north. It cannot exist. It cannot work. The ideologies are different.
Okay, let's go back. Let's go back to Mr. Pam. Mr. Pam.
Yeah.
Now, as we were speaking, someone posted on the comment section saying that there is no leadership, no rallying point in the middle belt. Do you agree with this? And do you foresee this as a problem for a Southern and Middle Belt alliance?
He is, yes, partially right. There is no central leadership for the Middle Belt. To a large extent, this is due to the fact that, the Middle Belt has so many ethnic groups. And everyone, by default, would want to protect his own, where he's representing the people who are his. Now, that will continue like the law of physics that says an object will move, or a force will continue moving in the same direction until another force acts on it. We either to have these divisions, and of course, they are natural divisions. Even if I'm at home and my children are hungry and my neighbor's children are hungry, the natural thing, the truth is, I'll feed my children first. Now, when it comes to our current circumstances, will it still be a hindrance? It could be, but not for long. It is a problem that, yes, we can acknowledge and we should acknowledge. But here we have an underlying factor. We are all in the Middle Belt under siege. Let me give you a small instance. My grandfather was the Bongom of Jos. And this is not something you get in the news. In over 2 occasions, the Sardauna of Sokoto had sent him the first-class staff of office on one condition: Islamize, so that we can have an emir of Jos. He said, no, he's a Christian. He was trained by missionaries, and he prefers his Christian religion. And so he died a second-class staff chief, although the head of the traditional council of the Benue Plateau State. They would always use that. If they don't get you over, you are an enemy. So all of the tribes in the Middle Belt, who are predominantly Christians, are under siege. The attacks we are facing around southern Kaduna, attacks we are facing in Plateau, our indigents that are killed in different parts, is for the same reason. The agenda is one. And we now have a reason, a concrete reason to speak as one and dwell with our differences and have a leadership representation. So far, we're doing good. So far, we have platforms like. So far, we have already begun to devise means of presenting ourselves and presenting ourselves boldly as Middle Beltons, devoid of central leadership for now. We are poised to defend ourselves and speak up. The rate at which young people are speaking about it now is to be commended, highly commended. You hardly will hear in the past or something has happened and anybody's talking about it. They're afraid of being carried away by DSS or SS. But right now, everybody is talking. So we are beginning to have leaders who are coming up, and we will support anyone that is coming up to speak for us, to defend us, to say the truth about what's on ground, irrespective of whatever is happening. In the past, when somebody speaks and is come to be is harassed, everybody keeps quiet. But no, since Milafia spoke, the day they came to surround him, before you know it, come, they are going to take Milafia. I say, when, where? And we all went there. Why are you taking him? If he's wrong, prove it. People are beginning to speak. The middle belt is beginning to speak. And yes, our own internal issues of leadership is not the main thing. It is elementary. Our primary goal now is subsistence, prevention of securing our lives and properties, and stop people from killing other else. So we have a strong reason to bond together. And the lack of a central, unified, one leader will not stop us from moving ahead. It will not disturb the alliance at all.
Okay, I saw Antonia's hand up. Antonia.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Pam and Mr. Alpha. Thank you for that presentation. I believe, like you said, that there's a new wave. There's a new wave. God is doing a new thing in this nation because there's an awakening, just as you have said, because now the Middle Belters are now seeing the need for them to come out boldly and to speak. And as they are speaking, even the South, we are hearing you and we are in support. Just like what you have said, whether South or Middle Belt, we are all facing the same thing. And the best thing is for the both sides to unite. We should come together as one, especially the Middle Belt. You have to talk to yourselves. That unity is very, very important. Identify the bad eggs that are in your midst and then talk to them. You have to talk to them because this divide and rule that the core nuts are using is because of the bad eggs. They can just penetrate. They know that there's some people they can settle, that once they give them money, they give them power, that is it. They'll come to their side. So we have to talk to, even in the South, it's the same thing. So we have to talk to ourselves. We have to talk to our leaders. We have to let them see reason. We can't continue like this. We can't continue to be killed. Our people are being killed, and there's nobody to defend them. There's nobody. We're just on our own. We're just on our own. So there's need for us at this time. It's very emotional because we see what is happening every day on the telly. We see how people are being killed. Just in Jos, we saw what happened again in Jos. It's a terrible thing, and people are helpless. The government is not there for them. So we need help. We need to come together. We need to unite. We need to be a force We need to be a force to fight against these evils that is happening in our land. And I know with God on our side, we will succeed. We will succeed in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Antonia. Remember, you can join the conversation simply by raising up your digital hand, and I'll try to accommodate as much questions and comments as possible. Talking about creating a center leadership as a rallying point, Mr. Pam, how do you think the Middle Belt can go about this?
Already we have organizations that have brought together, particularly one called Connector. It is an association of all the indigenous ethnic nationalities within the Middle Belt. It has been existing, but of course, they will always find a way of trying to silence them, to threaten them. And but we have that one in place. The initial divide when this House of Fulani come is when they play the Arewa card or the Northern Agenda card. Or the latest one is the political party affiliation thing. You have to deliver your constituency, blah, blah, blah. I'm glad that our youth have grown that. After 3-4 consecutive weeks of killing people in Bassa, nobody said a word. The presidency did not hear it. The governor did not mention it in our state. But when the youth who are going to bury their soil suspicious vehicle and attacked, and in emotions, we regret that it happened, but 30 communities were sacked. Over 300, 400 with people were killed. Nobody said a word. But for this, about 20 or so who claim to be Ondo citizens, that is strange. And the whole world knows that we are now murderers. The 36 that were killed yesterday behind the University of Law is not on the news. Nobody's talking about it. Children were roasted in their own house with their parents. Nobody talks about it. So we have more reason. We have every reason to move forward. If you don't speak, you will die. If you speak, you will die. So speak. That's just the option. Speak. And if you have somebody who is having the same song with you, join hands. 2 heads are better than one. The prayer of one can conquer 1,000. The prayer of 2, 10,000. Divine mathematics. What of the prayer of 3? What of the prayer of the entire Christians in the Middle Belt? What of the prayers of the entire Christians in the South, Southeast, Southwest, and Middle Belt? We have a force. We can do this. Most of what they post is propaganda, and because we are silent about it, because we don't talk about it, it goes on unchecked. So yes, we are stronger now. And thank you, Antonia, for bringing out those points. We have less issues of sellout now in terms of the majority of or the street persons. We have a few political persons who are already trapped, although they are feeling bad, because right within them, when they go to attack a church, they will not ask whether you are a relative of somebody who is a friend of the House of Fulani. They finish the whole church. So although they are feeling bad, they are trapped. But the majority, the sound on the ground, right from the grassroots is, we can't take this anymore. And who is with me? Let's stand and talk about it. People just don't have the forum. We don't have the news networks to let us speak. But thank God for this. Thank God for Lombard TV. I'm sure from here we're going to meet friends of like minds and solidify. Thank you.
Okay, and how do you suggest we stop these killings? Because it's getting way out of hand. It has gotten way out of hand. So how do you suggest these killings are stopped?
Permit me to use this raw term. My computer instructor said there are 360 ways to solve any problem you find online. There are many ways to go about it. Prayer is one of them. But It's not a but. Prayer is key for us as Christians. However, even when churches are about to launch or to get a new church building erected, they say, let's pray to God so that we can have this project done. After praying, the money doesn't fall from the sky into the church. The church now contributes. The church comes together. The church stretch forth their hands and meet their network and source for funds to build it. And at the end of the day, we thank God for granting us a new church building. The same thing can be done. You remember the Bakassi boys? No, they are not a legal militia, but they solved the problem in the South. Whatever is happening to Mr. A is happening to Mr. B by default. So whatever they are doing here, we count on the support of the rest of the alliance in every way. Whether it's to get a catapult that you can support us with, fine. Whether it's to syndicate our problems. After this platform has aired what is going on, you may have friends in other liberal television stations that can still take it up. You can do that. It will mean, once they know people are talking about it, they will begin to shimmer. But if I am the only one speaking about it, if Obadiah Melafia is the only one talking about it, if Philip is the only one talking about it, they can send SS for us, and that's the end of the matter. So we should learn to now start syndicating the issues. If there's an attack on the use of disproportionate force to get Kanu because his iPod, the North Central, the Middle Belt should speak about it. Why is it different? Why trying to accuse him? How many herdsmen have you arrested? Have you prosecuted? The boys they caught in Jos, how many herdsmen did they go to chase? They know where the herdsmen are. They are living in the bush right there next to them. They kill their people, take the phone calls of the Irigwe people and still call back and tease them and mock them. Nobody has gone for the arrest. So yes, we can begin to syndicate our problems. After the whole Middle Belt South-South Alliance has spoken, our individual groups also within the Middle Belt connector, within the South-South, Afenifere in the Southwest, Ohanes and Igbo in the Southeast, let them say it is wrong. We will send them the pictures. And of course, authentic pictures from the scene. We'll give them the details and the names if they want. Once the noise is coming from all quarters, we will be heard. It will reduce, it will make them soft pedal a bit. I don't think that the attack on the NDA is a fluke. These are our generals that won't allow an all upfront attack on us. So of course, friendly fire or mysteriously, the Defense Academy that trains all the military personnel of Nigeria and other parts of Africa is breached. Seriously. And gunshots are, look, NDA is always on session. And I mean, it's a bloody movie. And why is it that it's only people from the South, North Central, Middle Belt that are taken? So these are things we can do. We can begin to syndicate our problems and talk about it. Whatever happens to us, we expect you to also talk about it. We can establish fresh ways of empowering our people so that we can get things to defend ourselves as well as you. In all our markets, we have the House of Fulani sitting as middlemen. And when we take it even down to Lagos, they are in charge of the market there. Create new markets, and we trade with each other directly. We send goods to you, you send goods to us, we buy, we trade with one another, we empower our people financially. We also exchange cultural visits. We also do things, we identify with anything happening culturally in the South. We begin to unify as one. These people will be afraid that we are beginning to be a force. And if you touch me, you have touched the chief of Umutu. Or if you touch somebody in the South West, you have touched somebody in the Niger Delta.
Okay, now just before I let you go, because I'm aware that you have to leave by 9 o'clock. You are a member of the Southern and the Middle Belt Alliance. That's an organization. What is this organizational goal? What is their objectives? And how are they trying to achieve their aims and objectives?
The objectives, I think, basically is what we've seen here: how to form a strong political advocacy pressure group. What these people have an advantage, what the House of Fulani has an advantage over us, is the dominance of the National Assembly. Or else, I'm telling you, Buhari would have been impeached since. And they planned it over a long time. And then with this new alliance, we can decide who actually goes into those places to represent us. Those who we think are really standing up for us, why not? And this alliance is also to have accountability, to request accountability from our representatives. What are you doing about the electronic transmission of votes, for instance? What have you said about the grazing? What can we do? We will hold them accountable. We would like to form a force that we can help them and guide them to represent us better, give them ideas, and support them when there's anything that we need or they need to say. And also, this alliance has a mission statement and also has a vision. The vision is the liberation of the South and the Middle Belt. We will no longer continue to be on the minority. Minority is a psychological term. There's no life that is minority. But if we don't come together, these people will go on. Newsflash, what happens if suddenly they decide that ISIS has attacked the villa and the army chiefs, all generals have surrendered power of Nigeria to ISIS? All the small Fulani camps will erupt with all the arms they have kept. And the international community will not say Nigeria is, or the ISIS has taken over. And that's when you see the actual reason why they are there. So this group is meant to create awareness. This group is meant to bring us together. This group is supposed to form a building block. Everything in politics is numbers. If you go to see the governor of your state as an individual, and even if you know him, you'll hardly even have the audience. But go as a group, National Association of Medical Workers, you'll have more attention. Or the Association of even Road Transport Workers, you have more attention because they know you have the numbers that will affect their vote. So imagine the South and the Middle Belt coming together as one block. We can get the president of Nigeria. We want the next president to come from the South. And yes.
Okay, thank you so much, Prince Rwang Pam Jr. We have been discussing political alignment between the South and the Middle Belt, a historical perspective, and he has asked us that please we should release him by 9 o'clock. So, Mr. Pam, we will release you now, but right now I'm going to take comments from the participants. Pamson Daigat.
Thank you very much. I hope you are hearing me.
Yes, we can hear you. Please
Am
go
I
ahead.
audible?
Yes, you are
great.
audible.
I just need to add to the discourse. Rwang Pam Jr. have been able to lay it bare, but I need to just be very clear. Historically, pre-independence, after independence, and now in the current dispensation, there had never been a time that we have a monolithic north. Please, let's get that very clear. The Middle Belt have always quested for her independence. During the colonial era, the Middle Belt have always made it very clear that they are not of the same stock with the North. So the issue of monolithic is not there. The question will now be, why is it that other people still see us as Northerners on the pretext that we align together. I think that is a wrong connotation, very, very wrong. Let's understand something. Power is like nectar, and it draws the bees to it. When the colonial masters were about to create the independence, they looked at the caliphate and gave it that semblance of authority. So all the small ethnic nationalities that exist in the north needed to get favor or to be heard from that caliphate seat. And that is why you see most of those people within the First Republic or whatever, maybe that is within the military era, they align there because of what they want to get or to achieve. But even at that, this issue is broken now as we are speaking, because the average middle belter is not even looking onto that throne for anything. And it is clear, we are now very clear and we are conscious of the fact that sultanate seat will offer us no favors. And it is they have never offered us any favors. If you look at the political dynamics or look at the appointments, when we are appointed into seats, they claim that it's a wasted seat. And they even sometimes protest. The case during Obasanjo when he appointed the army chief is very clear. So let us be very clear. There had never been a monolithic north. The question many people are asking is that now that we are so small ethnic nationalities, how can we must come together as one in order to be heard? The truth of the matter is that the divide and rule situation is not only happening in the north. Well, where do Oboho came from? It's because of the same problem we are facing that is creating the Obohos in the west. What about the Nnamdi Kanu? It's the same problem we are facing here that has created that consciousness in the east. Let's not deceive ourselves. All of us are sharing into this same situation. So if you expect that the middle belters must have to organize themselves and be one, it will not just happen. Let us be clear. But the truth of the matter is that the middle belters are now looking out for power somewhere else, not to the caliphate. And this is the opportunity for the South to now show the way, to now take leadership. That is what is happening now. So if the South can take leadership, obviously the middle belters will swing towards the South and not the North. I think we need to get that very, very clear. And that is why the alignment is necessary. And I need to say that just like Rwang has been very clear about the different formations and the different groups that are coming together in order to ensure a functional alliance, Nigeria can work, but you need number to make it work. And we are saying that we and the South can form that number to get a leader that can make things work in this country. And that is the direction that we are looking at. Nigeria is possible for it to work. And we are working towards ensuring that we use the political situation that exists in order to have a working system in the country that will give everybody the kind of sense of belonging that we all deserve. I just need to make this little point of mine. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Dagyat. Let us hear from Mr. Nwankwo.
Thank you. I just want to correct two impressions. Very nice presentation. My people say, alo baho ome ordinane. When an abomination is allowed to trend for a year, it automatically becomes a tradition. That's my own tradition. And I want to state, first of all, the issue of leadership in the Middle Belt should be de-emphasized, because under a crisis situation, God normally decides to set a standard from anywhere. It mustn't be for, and it's not possible, it has never happened, that those enjoying the legacies of the authority will ever lead a revolution, because they're interested in the protection of their ill-gotten wealth, their own identity, because when you saw your hand, the idea, truth and virtue, escape from you. So you don't, when you are talking of leadership, you don't look at people like T.Y. Danjuma, people like Jeremiah Oseni, people like even Lalong, who was blaming Autumn the other time for opposing Ruga. So I'm not talking about Plateau because my own disappointment when Plateau State voted for APC. I wept. And Jesus wept in judgment. And we're witnesses. Have APC saved them? That is one. So we must emphasize the issue of leadership. Leadership can come from any time. When Ojukwu came up, he was never elected. When even Nnamdi Kanu is calling a shot now, he was never elected. So leadership and circumstances bring up leadership. So leadership they should not use it to discourage people. Where are the leadership? And the leadership will emerge when the occasion demands. Secondly, let me talk as an expert. It's a kind of degrading or a kind of vibe propaganda by people to be emphasizing on the ethnic plurality of the Middle Belt. There's no state in the north that is monolithic ethnically. No state, even Sokoto, you see how Hausa, you see Fulani, you see Zabramawa, you see Tuareg. Kebbi State has over 30 ethnic groups. Zamfara State has over 20 ethnic groups. Kano State has about 7 ethnic groups. Of course, people who know the history of Kano State, we know that even Tudungwada local government and Saminaka local government in Kaduna State have multiple ethnic groups there. And they're all, yes, and they're mainly Christians. Tudungwada and Kano State, Saminaka, there are about 4 ethnic groups there. I can't talk of Jigawa, multi-ethnic. I can't talk of Yobe and Borno. You can't even talk of Adamawa with over 100 ethnic groups. So we must not emphasize, but one thing we must understand is that the basic, the indices for mobilization by these people is religion. And that is what we are being used to. Why they project, they go to their mosque, they tell you, oh, Allah, all other are Aruni. Please forget them. They will not come to, oh, they be wrong. The Langtam, you are different, you cannot unite. And that is why the issue of Christianity, because the only way you can counter them is, spiritually. If they use spiritual power, spiritual means, if there is, spiritual networking to counter you. If you're using ethnic, you're just wasting your time. You are suicidal. Also use religion, a counter-religion, and that is international politics. We are talking of Arab nationalism, minus Islam. They're nothing like Arab nationalism. And that is why the Christians in Lebanon are suffering. That's why the Christians in Iraq, the Kurdian Christians, are being suppressed, are being cleared by ISIS and other people. So we must understand the basis of unity. You must define the basis of your unity. If you don't design the basis of your unity, every nationalism has a spiritual standard. And that spiritual standard is what is called ideology. And ideology is another historical, is the driving force. So we must define. The Yoruba is a different thing altogether, because the Yoruba raised their traditional nationalism, their identity, to a higher standard above Christianity and religion. So a Yoruba Muslim and a Yoruba Christian can easily live together, work together, go to church together, intermarry without problem. Except when Tinubu came and were deceived that, oh, you need to align with Muslim in the south, with Muslim in the north. Before Tinubu came to disintegrate the southwest, he will never know the religion of any political leader in the Yoruba land. So we must design, we must try to declare, there's no shame about it. Those ethnic groups who are Muslims in the Middle Belt, they are not for you. So there's no need protecting we're all Middle Belt. Middle Belt is a spiritual movement. So I want us to look at that way and forget about leadership. God can decide, Pam, you are going to be the leader tomorrow. You are going to be the prophet. Prophets of God were never elected in the Bible. They were appointed spontaneously by action of the Holy Spirit. Thank you very much, and God bless all of you.
Correct.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Wizigwe. Mr. Pam, you still here?
Yes, I'm still here.
Oh, because we wanted to release you. We wanted to release you. So let's be on the record that we released you, but you chose to stay with us.
Yes, I'm leaving.
If I may ask a question, please, if you don't mind. Augusta, let me ask Mr. Pam this question.
Go ahead, please.
We all witnessed what happened at the Nigerian Defense Academy, because that is the next section of the conversation as from 9 p.m. We all witnessed what happened at the Nigerian Defense Academy. I think it is the chief of defense staff that said today that there must have been an insider who coordinated the attack. Yes, I know that you alluded a little to the ethnicity of the victims of the attack. What message do you think the bandits, I prefer to call them terrorists, what message do you think they are sending to anyone, every Nigerian, by that attack at the Nigerian Defense Academy?
Okay, thank you, Dan, for that. I think there are two broad messages. One is that the center of defense, the most sacred place that trains our military in defense, is breachable. Not only breachable, it can be infiltrated, and they could carry out the assassination or the killing of Army or Nigerian military officers and get away with it. The second answer, or the second message is looking at the constitution of those that were targeted and quote unquote assassinated. They were all members of our group. They are members of Middle Belt and the South. They are indigents of Middle Belt and the South. Why? Look at the 4 major plane crashes, apart from the last one that took the former Army chief. The one that went for the tactical mission surveillance, 95%, let me say that, were all from either the Middle Belt or the South. Just look at even the pilot who escaped, that is being commended as a hero. Can you imagine somebody going to fight Boko Haram, finish, and coming to Kaduna, right inside Kaduna, they have people with anti-aircraft guns that will fire. Hello, how many arrests have been made? Do we really have an army? If we had a military that is effective, like Abacha would say, an insurgents that lasts over 24 hours, the government has a hand in it. Do you recall some years back at some army military personnel turned against the GOC, the commander, fired his car. Luckily, he was in the armored car, and they were brought forward to be court-martialed. Why? They sent them into Sambisa. They were supposed to finish the job. They asked them to wait where they are, and somehow, the Boko Haram knew that they were asked to wait, and they came and attacked them and killed them. So those that survived opened fire. How? Do we really have a military? Have you checked how many people, how many of our sons and daughters from the Middle Belt and the South are actually admitted into either the Army, the Air Force, the Navy, whether through recruitment or through the NDA? Check around us, even on this platform, we would have relatives that have written the NDA exam once, twice, 3 times, and they will not get. Brilliant boys and girls. So I think we have an army that is already clogged and filled with a particular set of people, and their only response is when their master says, do something. When they were killing in Irigwe, the people, is next to Rukuba Barak. And some people are saying, go and help. They said they have not received order. When they came to kill over 500 people in Dogonawa here in Jos, then Governor Jonathan was the governor. They removed the authority of the commander-in-chief from him and sent it to the JTF or the Kuba Barak guy. And he couldn't talk. So he called the guy, said, they are killing people here. They said he's not available. They have to wait for a response. They checked checkpoints next to the place where the killing was happening. They said they have to get orders from above. And all those orders never came. So I think the second signal is they are confirming what Joe Garba and the rest says. There's a collusion between the military and the government we have to erase the Christians and take over their land and maintain governorship and maintain presidency and maintain power in every realm. Let's not kid ourselves. Those facts are there on the ground. If you talk about it, they'll say it's hate speech. But whenever any of them talk about it, it's not hate speech. It is just saying the facts, and we are stealing their cows. That is why they are protesting. Let us get this one very clear. These people are in for a mission. And our boys and our brothers who are within the rank and file, is either they look for of removing them by going down the line and pick a very, very junior officer and force the upper officers to retire, or they go mysteriously like this. People have just gone. May their souls rest in peace. So that's it for me, Dan.
Okay. Okay. Mr. Alpha, are you here? Mr. Alpha. Mr. Alpha. Mr. Alpha, he's still unavailable, apparently.
Okay.
Now remember that you can.
Now that Pamson is here, does Pamson have to say anything on this topic?
Okay.
Pamson, the get.
I mean, on the military or which of the topic now?
On the NDA attack.
Well, I think my brother have summed it all. If I should take the word of Lai Mohammed, I would say the attack is suspect because it doesn't make any sense at all. And the whole hulabaloo with respect to their TV, what has that got to do with the whole scenario? It doesn't make sense that because the people were sleeping. So all those things, I think it was a state managed to specifically target and eliminate some people. That's the way I read it. So I think there's more to be deserved. In other crimes, an independent investigator put in place to unravel the mystery behind it. But here, I can assure you, by the end of next tomorrow, it will no longer be news because something else will come, and then this will now become a stale news. And this is the kind of country we are. And that is why we need a total change of people in power as a solution to both the military and our corporate existence as a people and as a nation. That is just my own little submission here.
Okay, I can see Elder Tango's hand up.
Yeah.
Elder Ogochukwu, please go ahead.
Good day. I was listening, Thank you, Lumba. Thank you, Moderator. I will comment on this military incident, What really happened is very uncalled for. So shameful on Nigerian military. Any military information or institution, barracks, it must pass many security, sentry duty posts. People do guard, changing of guard, even in each quarters. And any movement inside the barrack, each barrack have its own security too. Has its own security too. So the problem, what will happen? I wrote it in one forum in the morning today. It's a well-organized terrorist attack inside an institution. But if you follow everything and watch the picture of the attack and what happened, it's well planned. They have an insider play part that give them the green light, and they have a choice of target, and they accomplish. Till now, no news yet, no information how it was planned, how it was carried out. With only sound of gun inside barrack. The sound of gun will form a smoke. The bullet case will fall out. A lot of things is involved to trace this thing. If really there's a security in that barrack where a rapid gun was shot, someone must pick each bullet. When army was army, each bullet has mark, each gun. If a gun lost in the barrack, they can look it over. But if a bullet lost, it's more dangerous. Because after any parade or any duty, you declare your arm that you are free of any bullet. Even inside the barrack, you are living. If you went back to your room or house with live bullet, it's a commercial offense. And each bullet is counted, because inside the barrack, where gun is, bullet is not there. Gun is kept in armor. Bullet and live ammunition, you will find it in magazine, and a magazine is guided. 2 people or 3 can guide armor, but in magazine, it must meet a platoon of soldiers guiding magazine, because if magazine is break, it's dangerous. So this information will go a long way to find out what really happened. Which armor was break, the origin of the bullet, who supplied the gun, what really happened. But now, everything is porous, you know. I doubt the situation people are living now. So what I'm thinking is that our army need to shuffle the army, to shuffle our security system. Although the people in the army now, because I noticed one thing, when I was about to join the army under Colonel Jack in Enugu, the Alabama, after we run, it's okay, we pass. Coming back, some people come with the approval paper. So don't come with anything, but they say these people are already taken. So this corruption in the system is very, it's a long time problem, but we still manage to pass through. So a lot of things is happening in the country. To build this country now, we have a long way to go. We have moral problem, we have everything problem, and it affects every institution. So that's why I was saying that whoever he made president in 2023 will not succeed. People thought think I'm joking. What magic would that person do with this system we have in this society? So this plan is a well-planned attack, and they have choice of target, and they accomplish. So this is my take, remember.
Thank you so much, Elder Tango. And about television, are you there?
Yes, the conversation is about the events at the Nigerian Defense Academy. If there is anyone that has something to say about it and the implications for the security of the nation and what it portends going forward, I think such conversation is welcome. If you can call Mazi Okoye.
Hello, thank you very much.
Okay, let us hear.
Thank you, Augusta.
Mazi Okoye, please go ahead.
Thank you, Augusta. I think what happened shows we call it a country where no one is in charge. If someone is in charge in the country, this kind of brazen attack on a military installation should not be. I mean, shouldn't even be a dream. Nonetheless, coming into a reality. How can a handful of bandits storm a defense academy, kill people, and made away with some of them? That is actually, it sounds like if it hasn't happened and someone wrote it as a screenplay, people will laugh at it. But it's only in Nigeria that you come across some unimaginable things happening in this world. I was having a conversation, I believe it's with Mr. Maziez and Ambrose the other night. We were talking about Buhari being in charge. How can someone say that Buhari is in charge? Is anyone in charge in that country? Nobody is in charge. Nobody. Garibashew sits in France talking nonsense. Buhari sits in Abuja, picking his teeth. Who else? Or AGF Malami? Is he the one in charge? A Downs, for that matter, is he the one in charge? That's why these things are happening. Anybody can just walk into an NDA with AK-47 and kidnap the military people there, and nobody, no outrage, nothing. It's just. I think people that believe that it is a stratagem, a ruse. I think they are quite correct that this is a ruse, because I was trying to imagine a big complex like that a handful of bandits can just walk in and start shooting and kill some officers and made away with some of them as a token of an exploit of their daring is just beyond me to comprehend. Are they? What? Are there people there? Are they? It's just unimaginable. So I think there's nobody in charge. This is why people, as we are doing, ethnic nationalities has to start coming together and form alliance and path. Because Nigeria as it is, we need these alliances for Nigeria to go anywhere, because we can see that Nigeria is actually not a state anymore. There's nobody there. There's no men there. Everybody's scratching their head, looking for the next loot, to run away and fly away with their packed private jets. So this alliance that we've been talking about is now pivotal, and I believe is actually timely because of what the country has become. It's very, very timely because no one nationality, can do it by themselves. The Southeast cannot just break away and do it. So does the South, and so does the Middle Belt. So our alliance is very timely in order for us to actually, put heads together, buckle down, map a serious plan ahead. Otherwise, we'll have ourselves to blame, because the way things are going, we don't know who is who. We don't know what the heck is going on. Nobody knows. There's nobody. Government is actually non-existent in Nigeria. Buhari government is nothing there. So
Thank you so much.
it's about start taking things seriously, and
Thank you.
gather themselves and so we can start doing something about what is going on. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mazi Okoye. Let us hear from Titus, London.
Thank you very much, Augusta. Listening to other speakers, I want to say I am not surprised, neither am I shocked that the NDA was attacked. Well, if you are a follower of events and activities in Nigeria, like the last speaker was speaking and saying a handful of bandits will just come into the NDA shooting and doing all this. But I can tell you, these are not handful of bandits. These are terrorists, like the previous speaker had rightly categorized them. Even if the government has decided to call them bandits, we know this has gone beyond banditry. Now, why did I say I'm not surprised? When you look at events, it is not the first time. Why this is making a lot of headlines? It's because an institution like the military was like attacked. But it's not the first time. We've had military formations attacked at different times by different groups. And Kaduna, for instance, if you look at that area, the axis where the NDA is, this same bandits, as it's being called, had attacked a military checkpoint that is right on the road between Rigasa train station and the NDA. They attacked that checkpoint and killed military men on the checkpoint. They've also attacked passengers that arrived at Rigasa train station. They've also attacked the airport and abducted some fan personnel. They've also and on that road where the NDA is, if you drive through, if you are very familiar with that place, the old airport road from Rigachuku axis, if you drive through, you see the Nigerian Army workshop, and then you go after the Rigachuku community, you will now see the DSS facility, a training institute. You go there, after that you see a school, you now see the Nigerian Defense Academy, you see the airport. So it is that the whole of that area is owned by the security agencies. And if these guys have the guts to plan and execute such plans, such actions, then you should know that it is not something that we will be saying, how could it happen? And there is no way they are going to launch that attack just randomly. It's not a random target. They've pre-selected it, they've planned it, they've surveilled that place. Yes, I have no doubt that yes, there's every likelihood they have insider, and they have collected their information, they have selected their targets, and they know where to go to and how to get out. The officer they took along with them, I think, was part of their strategy on their way out to use him as a shield. If they get peradventure got rounded up, they will use that to negotiate. But yes, they had their way. They finally succeeded in doing what they want to do. So I want to just draw attention to this, that look, whether we like it or not, we are in a serious mess. The military or the armed forces has become like a blanket on a bed too big to cover everyone, and everyone is trying to drag it to cover himself. The military is all over in the country. All the responsibilities of the police and other institutions like the civil defense are being handled by the military. So they've been overstretched. There's no way you get them to be optimal in what they do. So it's high time. Yes, leadership, of course. If you don't have the right leadership, of course, things will continue to just go haywire. So until we understood that, look, we must put things the right way. You don't allow everybody to just do everything. You go everywhere, you see military, you see police, you see DSS, you see civil defense, you see everybody wants to just be seen. Everybody should just go back to do what he or she is trained to do. So I know what the military used to be, and I know what the military is today. It's far, far different from what we know the military should be. Before now, I grew up in the military barracks. Before now, those days you can never see a military man in his uniform in a town. Where you find somebody on military uniform is in the barracks, and those days the barracks are far away from where the civil community is situated. But today things have changed. Yes, we know there's development and so on, but until we start institutional structures to take place and do the right thing, I am telling you, what we are saying is just a tip of the iceberg. These guys we call bandits, every day, Plateau, Kaduna, Zamfara, Sokoto, Kebbi, every day there are people that are being abducted. So this is no news as far as I know, and I'm not surprised. Until we are ready to do something, we are going to see more. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. We have been discussing the attack on the NDA, and people are still insinuating that it's an inside job, and some saying it's just plain lack of preparation on the part of our security. I mean, if the Defense Academy can be attacked, how secure are we, the normal civilians? And Lombard Television.
Yeah, all right. I think at this point, the two discussions we've had today about the historical perspective of Southern and Middle Belt Alliance and the attack at the Nigerian Defense Academy have been fully dealt with. So unless we have any other contribution, I will have to announce that on Saturday by 8 p.m., we are hosting Mr. Obadiah Melafia, who will again speak about the Middle Belt crisis we are having, and also the Southern Middle Belt Alliance as a panacea to the problems we're having today. I think a lot of people are agreed that there need to be a paradigm shift. So I think we are agreed that a paradigm shift is necessary. I can see some members of the New Alliance who are talking about. Anyone that wants to make a comment before we call it a day about these?
I just want to say that the paradigm shift is already there. It's just that people that that has foresight can actually start now to consolidate, because time is of essence. Time is something that you can never get back, and the more you plan ahead, the more prepared you are in terms of what comes your way. Because I don't think Nigeria just out of a sudden the problem just resolves itself. It requires a lot of strategic planning, and that planning takes a bit of time, a bit of implementation and consolidation. So we must start. The paradigm shift is already happened. It's just about, okay, where do we go from what the damage that has already done? But whether the paradigm shift is there, it's already been. It's just for us to, okay, this is the problem we have. This is where we want to go. This is how we're going to do it. And then we act. Because what I found is that us in the Middle Belt, in the South and the Southeast, we don't differentiate the action and confrontation I believe we spent a lot of our time in confrontation only. We just confront, and never takes action until we stop confronting and then go to action. We must go to action, and without much waste of time, we act, and we act. We must stop confronting these people, because once they know that if they do this, say for example, they kill a few people, we come out and shout and confront them, and then they will go and do the same thing again, and that will fade off and nothing happens. But if we have a strategy and implement it and stick to it and act, this is what we require. We don't need no more confrontation with them. We don't need that. They know that we are confrontational. So we must not play into their hands. We must be coded in what we do in terms of what we're doing. But our modus operandi must be action now. We must act. No more confrontation. Thank you.
Okay, I can see Antonia's hand up. Antonia?
I want to also support the last speaker because, we have been praying, and the Bible says...
Antonia?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Hello?
Go ahead.
Yes.
Antonia,
So,
we can hear you.
We have been doing a lot of praying, and the Bible says faith without works is dead. And just like the last speaker said, we need action, strategies. Like in the Bible, there were strategies given to the children of Israel to fight their enemies. Look at what happened with David. He knew how to use the catapult, and that was what he used in defeating Goliath. So we have things that we can use, things that we're used to, not something that is foreign to us, things within us that we can use to defend ourselves. Because we can't just, continue to pray and think that the government will come and help us. There's nobody to help us. We just have to help ourselves. Our youth can no longer, decide to just be sleeping 24/7. We know that these people come at night. They come at night to commit this havoc. So what are we doing? Are we just going to be sleeping at night and they come and kill our women, kill our men, our children, and burn the houses? We must come up with strategies. We must come up with action. How do we defend ourselves? It's constitutional for us to defend ourselves. We can't continue for these people to keep killing us as chickens, and all we come is shout and go back and continue doing the same thing the way we are used to doing it. That's my contribution.
Thank you so much. As the 820, I would have to ask so that you kindly rename yourself when you come to this show so we can address you properly. Galaxy 820. That's the name I can see here. Galaxy 820, I have asked you to unmute. Okay, so while we are waiting for Galaxy 820, Galaxy 820. Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead. We can hear you.
If you're using your headset, please remove your headset. That's the reason why we can't hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear.
Okay. I just wanted to respond to the last discussion or the last speaker who was talking about people reacting or the youth standing up and doing something. And my name is Mark Jacob. I was on this platform yesterday. And I just need to say that one of the basic challenges is the Christian leadership
approach to these issues. It's not that we don't have youths that can respond. It's not that we don't have the capacity to also direct militia that can protect our communities and defend our people. The reality is that there is a serious conflict between the church and communal protection. A lot of people, particularly church leaders, have a confused message this matter. So many Christian leaders and clergy have this conviction that it is wrong to respond physically to attacks in our communities. Therefore, young youths or even elders who have capacity to come out with guns or bows and arrows to defend their communities are told that they should not do anything, that they should just go and pray and to act on their behalf and protect their community. This is the confusion in the Middle Belt, because majority of us are Christians. Continue to preach this type. Say if you do anything, God will protect you. And so even when people have capacity to stand up and ward off attacks, they go on to pray. They go on to lie down or kneel down and pray when guns, AK-47s, and SMGs are being fired. So we need to come to this reality. Has prayer ever stopped an AK-47 from releasing its bullets? Has prayer ever stopped an SMG from rolling out and killing people? I am not against belief and dependence on God, but I'm asking. I'm not a preacher, I'm not a pastor, and I really hope we'll get men of God that will answer this question. What do Christians do in the face of physical attacks when the enemy comes with guns and bombs? Should Christians kneel down and pray, or should they defend themselves? The truth is that there is a reluctance to address this issue, and there is a hypocrisy that is pushing our people into dominance, into subjugation, into annihilation and destruction, because they are being told that it is unchristian to carry arms and defend yourself. They are being told by their pastors and clergy that it is unchristian to fight off invaders, marauders, terrorists that are entering your communities, killing your men and women and children without respect. There is an underlying message in our churches every day. Nobody should take up the arm of flesh to fight. There is that consistent message being pursued and preached on our pulpits. And I watch with pain when I see men who could have defended themselves, men who could have escaped death, men who could have saved their wives and children from death, I see them being killed because they were told that it is unchristian for them to carry arms. It's a very big challenge. So when we speak, make suggestions that our youth should defend our communities, we must address this critical issue, whether our leaders in the churches understand what is going on. Our community leaders must also come up and tell us, should we surrender? Should we just lie down and be killed? Or do we take up arms and protect ourselves? I'm not talking about invading anybody. I'm not supporting a situation where we just go on and begin to attack people. No, but I'm asking, is it biblical? Is it unchristian for men young men, old men, protect their communities from total? If you go to Miango and Irigwe areas, they have youths that could have protected their communities. But church has refused to allow these people to go on and defend themselves, to do so. So the middle belt must answer this question. With this work, as far as I'm concerned, I don't defend.
I think, is the network still there? Are we still hearing Mr. Jacobs? Okay. I think Mr. Jacobs.
My name is Mark.
Sorry? Oh, I thought this was Mr. Jacobs speaking before.
Yes, I am speaking, but there is a music coming on.
From your end? Or from here? Okay, is it Tango?
Okay.
No, I mean, is the music coming from you? I want to make sure that Mr. Jacobs has finished. Okay.
I don't do that. Not me.
Okay, Mr. Jacobs, have you finished your presentation?
Islam has what?
With his network. Elder Tango, you have spoken before now. Let's allow,
no problem.
I think Njenje Media have not made a contribution. Njenje Media, sir.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. Obviously, I mean, I no longer want to dwell on what happened in Kaduna. It's I think everybody has said, you know, the right things, and that we need to get crack on. But I want to quickly respond to what Mr. Jacobs said. And that is striking, to say the least, that the church, it's somewhat preventing them from doing the needful, from protecting themselves. I found that absurd and silly at the same time, because, you know, if are the clergies, not from these societies that we see these killings happen every day, are they not aware of these things happening? Mr. Lumba, I am, you know, again, these things must be shared. There is a video that obviously I am just sharing with you. If you don't mind, you might obviously play it. And this is what happened in Jos yesterday and this morning, to the point that these people already dead, and the people now, like the time of Fela, when the mom died and they took it to the Dodam barracks. These people took the corpses of their loved ones to the gates of the government. Question then is, if these clergymen, they see all these things happening, if these clergymen are part of this society, if these clergymen will be the same clergy people that will bury these dead, how in God's freaking name would they ask the people to pray? That is akin to insanity. That is akin to madness. Do not protect yourself. Even the biblical injunction, I mean, you have to protect yourself. You have to. Self-defense is no crime. No one says you need to go and attack any other person, but you cannot, just because of what some white robe wearing entity somewhere says you should do, therefore you keep quiet for someone to come and yank your heads off. That's honestly, I couldn't sit down here and listen to him say that without responding, because I found it, so absurd that in this day and age, with all the things happening, someone would have the courtesy to even say such. I mean, I think I would, in conclusion, I probably blame whoever listens to such manner of crap, because, well, I don't know, in the name of God, for what? For someone to kill me and for me to go to heaven? Listen, you must, the heaven starts from here before we even go any other place we don't know. Honestly, I think afterwards the people really need to get their act together. My question to him, if he eventually comes back, will be, is it not possible that you guys start like vigilante services? Yes, we know you have the, past states, like in the Southeast, we have the Anambra one, you have the Ebonyi, you have this. Eventually, they tried doing something interstate, like the Yoruba nation had it, which they call the Amotekun. But if that becomes too complex and an impossibility for you people to accomplish, why don't you think about something that could be done by state legislation, backed up by law, not anything illegality, backed up by law, and use that means to protect yourself? Is that not possible? That's my question. Is that not possible? Thank you.
Hello?
Yeah, we can
Yes,
hear you.
Njenje, take over. Let me coordinate our Samba internal meeting, please. Njenje, take over, please.
Okay, so Jacobs, go ahead.
Okay, I'm sorry. I had to change my system because the
But
other one
did you get my question?
I did. Now, let me just say this. I agree with you absolutely that there is a level of stupidity in the kind of things that are going on. We have had the painful experience of confronting some of our clergy, highly placed, who come out openly to say that it is unchristian to ward off physically any attack. That it is completely not founded in scriptures for people to take up arms and defend themselves. There is this weird, and I'm speaking from a position of assessing other views different from mine. My view absolutely is different. I don't agree that we can sit down and allow people who did not defeat our forefathers in any war to come in today, walk in freely into our communities, kill people freely, and walk away while we kneel down to pray. I don't believe that bullshit. But I'm telling you that the majority of clergy persons in our communities have preached, and I've heard some of this preaching, that our warfare is not carnal, but spiritual.
Oh,
And
they
that
will still kill
nobody,
them criminally.
pardon?
I said they will get their reward carnally when they will be killed carnally. It's nonsense.
Thank you. So now that is the confusion. And you know, truly, the unfortunate position is that majority of our people listen and believe the clergy more than anybody else. So we have a challenge in the Christian communities that are majority in the Middle Belt, that the clergy need to re-educate themselves about the realities of today. And we find it terribly affecting our community.
True story must be told. And we must tell our...
Sorry, go ahead.
Yes.
This is the video I talked about before. This is what
Yes,
happened.
this is the Plateau government house visitation by the people who took the corpses to government house.
See?
Yes.
Look at.
Yes. These are people, including children, who were sleeping in their houses. They were not fighting anybody.
Yes, too much.
They were not in any war with anybody. They were in their homes. Look at those number of children, infants. Their lives cut short because they are Christians.
And no church CEO is there.
No. So the complications in the Middle Belt are much. And I speak with pain in my heart because we have capacity. If the Middle Belt persons, the human beings in the Middle Belt, with all our education and expertise, we have the largest retinue of retired servicemen in the military, from generals to men. There is a large collection of men who are experienced in warfare. They are there. They can take care of this situation, particularly when the Nigerian government has no intention or has displayed unwillingness to confront this situation. Our men in our churches and our villages, generals, colonels, and staff sergeants, and all what, they are in their thousands in the Middle Belt. But they have swallowed this gospel of doing nothing because God is going to fight for them. And every day they attend the burial ceremonies of their kith and kin. But they have not yet woken up to the reality that God is not going to come and carry AK-47 or catapult to ward off any attack. I am a fanatical believer in God, but I am also a fanatical believer that you save yourself when you stand up and pray and decide to go up and defend your community, like David did against Goliath. No matter how big the Goliath is, you may have stones while he's carrying a sword. And in this case, you may have no AK-47. But if you pray, God can transform your javelin. He can transform your catapult to something bigger than an AK-47. So the church is a challenge to the defense and protection of our communities. And I'm saying this with all sense of responsibility and respect to the church. But I cannot hide our pain that the church has preached the wrong gospel to our people. You find retired generals living in our communities. Their houses are being burnt their relations, cousins and uncles are being killed, and they do nothing because they believe or they think that God will come and fight for them. Several villages in my local government have been consumed. And in those villages, you find retired generals in those villages. And they have done nothing. So for me, it's the same thing in the plateau. It's the same thing in Benue. The people who fought the World War II and the Civil War, they are in these communities. There is nothing you can teach them about warfare. So many of our boys and girls were in Sierra Leone, they were in Liberia, they were in the Congo. They have medals of award. But the church has stripped them naked of effectiveness because they want to die as good Christians. And since the pastors and the reverends and the clergy continue to say that it is wrong for people to carry arms and fight, these people have not found the motivation to do anything for their communities. The best they do is to evacuate themselves and their children, go and stay in the city, or put their children in America or Europe, Dubai, and play safe.
Thank you very much. It's indeed a sad one, I must note. We'll be rounding up now. We'll take Tango, then Odogwu Ibuza. We'll round up. Tango, if you may, 1 minute quickly summarize it so that we...
Njenje. No, I've said something before, but I'm only want to contribute about this self-defense. Self-defense is allowed, but how can people defend themselves? The pastors are doing their business. All these churchmen, they are doing their business. They brainwash the people. They keep the people out. The same thing government is doing, the church is doing. The church is another enemy to the people. People that break factory and turn it into church, how the country will be progress? They are living large. Look at the church goers and you look at the pastors and the CEOs of the church. Let us be honest with ourselves. Everything is game of brainwash. Coming to defense is hard now because the chief defense of the country, who is supposed to defend everybody, Buhari, said any attack on Boko Haram is attack on the northern for a long time. And after saying that, they still allow him to be head of state. That is another point. And the last point again is that these people now, it will be suicidal to allow the youth to face these people. The rate of the attack, it must balance of power. You can't use a knife or pen knife or stick with somebody with AK-47. It's very suicidal. Our people are busy accumulating money, packing money, building mansion. But the Bible, I wonder the type of Bible they read. I read Bible too. I go to church. I believe in God. The same God that said, the same Bible that said, heaven help those that help themselves. They don't quote that. And I thought this, even the Solomon, the wisest man, said, all is vanity upon vanity. Because all this is they're gathering. When the enemy comes, they will kill them and everything will be wasted. Another point is that this question of killing every day. Because the pastor or whoever is deceiving people don't defend themselves. They go around with a mobile police army with convoy, so they are well protected. The same people you told weapons that fashion against you will not prosper. But you fashion weapons to protect yourself and telling your followers that weapons that fashion against you will not prosper. Who is fooling who? People will rise up and defend themselves. But what we will do is that they need support, not empty-handed. If there is awareness, the greater, even some soldiers are annoyed of what is happening. Like these soldiers now, these victims among the soldiers in the barrack or the furnace. If there's a really good uprising, the barrack will break. Look what history. That's why anytime Dr. Wezigo is saying history, I love hearing history because history is very important. During the Second World War, Hitler could not pass through or capture Swiss. You know the reason why? Because everybody was armed. He passed an easy route to Paris to check to Paris, go his way. Because trying Swiss will delay him because people are armed there. So people will be armed. All these people that come at London, they kill everybody, kill by shots and go. If people are armed, if people are well armed, it will not be easy. That's my contribution, Njenje.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Igwe, please. Can you kindly unmute yourself and make your submission?
Thank you, Njenje. Tango, you were giving us some pepperish ideas, but you talking about defending yourself suicidal is, I don't know, is discouraging. Forget for well in war. I don't know what what you mean by empty hand, because you are in war. Maybe you did not really witness in a Nigerian civil war. You can as well tell me how many Amorins were attacked when they resisted for 2.5 years, 30 months. So it's not everything. It's not really the arsenal that determines the victory in war. It's the heart, commitment, and the patriotism. So let's forget about being suicidal. First of all, I want us to understand something strategically. You see, the other two, the other time I presented my list, I hammered on these pastors. The Bible said, judgment shall begin from my own house. I said, I hammered on this. But again, a lot of them passed through me as my student, both ordained reverend fathers, pastors. They passed through me in the university. I taught them and understand their limited mentality in terms of, in terms of worldly and the spiritual. And when I talk with authority that are more spiritual than most of them, because I'm guided by a set, traditional norms by my forefathers that tells me that when I lie, I have to receive instant judgment from my ancestors at the same time. So I need not be briefed on the Bible on how to keep myself ordered in terms of the moral dictates of the society. That is one. Secondly, do we really understand the dynamics of these attacks? First, it was against Igbo. Fulani people raided, and then unknown gunmen they descended on the southeast with the help of their stooges in the name of political leadership. Suppressed. I may not agree with the unknown gunmen going after policemen, because those policemen being attacked were actually our kinsmen who were just there because they needed, their means of livelihood. But then their presence was a deterrent, a kind of, deterrence to Fulani herdsmen, trying to harassing our people. And they suppressed them and were clapping. Then you could see Sunday Uboho coming up after Ngangan, and now you saw how they hold him up. And then all the Yoruba nations were now, their attention was diverted towards Uboho, and nobody's talking about what is happening. They are talking about legal means. The Igbo leaders are not talking. They are telling them, if you continue with, if you don't allow, if you don't help to subdue IPOB, I'm not a lover of IPOB, but I know that every such organization has its own nuisance value, because our people will say, mgbe asina ama nwe onyara ade me ha mkpari ade akpari ha anyhow, that a family with a madman or a rascal is not often insulted or abused by outsiders, because they know that the madman will be there to handle the situation. So every society, if there's no madman in any society, even in overseas advanced countries, if there's no madman, the society is not complete, because this is our earth. So we need madmen. And how do we manage that? Is the way you manage your madman, your madmen determines even your progress. Not that they do not exist, but they are part and parcel of the society. And again, talking about, there are certain things about strategy and not strategy. But the Bible is very, very clear. I have wished Elomba is here, because when I raise the issue of without the shedding of blood, there can be no salvation. Elomba said, no, I was not right. But that is the major thing. that Jesus Christ shedded his life, shedded his blood on the cross to give us salvation. And he tells us, if you want to be like me, do what I do. And you want to do like Jesus, why are you afraid? When you know that without dying, you cannot go to heaven. It is obvious. And death can come at any time, even ordinary headache. The worst, the present scientists can say that cardiac arrest. But I bet you every death is cardiac arrest. Because once your heart stops breathing, you are gone. And it's cardiac arrest. So, secondly, the Bible is also very, very, very clear. The kingdom of God suffereth what? Violence. And by violence shall we what? Retake it. And that is what we are going through. And we continue saying Jesus is a mighty man of war, is a mighty man of warrior. A Dikenaya, according to the Igbo, Odogunaya. We continue singing and dancing. I often tell some of my friends, the greatest sin the Christians commit is singing lies. They sing lies. When I surrender to all. You dance it, but you're lying. You never surrender to God. Jesus Christ is mighty man of value. Oh, yeah. And yet, you said that the same Jesus Christ, who is a mighty man of war, is telling you not to defend yourself. When Jesus Christ defended himself, even against Satan, when he said, Satan, get behind me. Even when the same Jesus Christ used cane, burara, to flog money changers. Is that not? Oh, because he did not use gun. So we must try to re-educate. The first salvation that will come to the South and the Middle Belt. And I want to say that what is happening in Plateau State is premeditated. It's part of a larger scheme. Neutralize the South and then go after the Middle Belt. After finishing the Middle Belt, you return back to the South. And I'm talking as a historian who has read wars, guerrilla wars, international wars, and so on and so forth. Histories of revolution. I'm not telling that's their tactics. They've destroyed, they've neutralized the Southeast, neutralized what? The Southwest, the Yoruba people, through Sonibo, and they're now going back to the Middle Belt. These are the people who are supposed to come out in their support. So we should not take the Middle Belt situation as an isolated decimal. It is incarnated. It's part of this chain, the long chain of subjugation, violent subjugation. But I wonder, after killing all these people, will you still want us to live in peace with you? Because somebody who killed my mother, killed my father, killed my relative, will never be my friend for life. So are they thinking of in future when we all will sit back and live side by side as Nigerians? Because we never suffer such even under the colonial regime. Because yes, we never suffer it. So I believe that I've said it, that we don't need the clergy, but the major thing we should now do is for us to face our clergy and reject them. Because if you don't deal with the enemy within, you are the danger of the enemy without, and then you'll not be able to confront yourself. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Mwezigwe. You've made a very, 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 very salient point, and I totally agree. I mean, many people wouldn't know that even Okbili is also a weapon. Even, when it comes to self-defense, somebody is coming into your house, you in your house, inside, behind the door, you have some advantage. And my dear, even if now hot water you cook, it is something if you have the time to still cook it before someone enters your house, because you pour somebody hot water, wallahi, the person will give you the AK-47. So Mazokwe, you have had the last word.
Yeah, hot water, yeah. Mazi, I think some of this mentality is quite archaic, where people fall into thinking that, okay, they want to become martyrs. They're dying for Christianity. They're becoming Christian martyrs. Therefore, if you submit your life in that way, then you automatically going to heaven. Like when Saul, that later was converted to Paul, was killing the Christians. The Christians at the time were, actually sort of submissive like what the Middle Christians are doing today. Not fighting back, just letting everything go and just allow themselves to be slaughtered. And but what they are forgetting is that you can only become a religious matter, if there is no option left for you to defend yourself and to fight for yourself. Once you have that option for you to fight and defend yourself, then the idea of martyrdom becomes redundant, because you just making wanting to die is like suicide, committing suicide just for the sake of being a martyr, or going by the name of religious persecution. I think some of these reverend fathers, however, I think they might be, in that kind of mentality that they are, because they are Christians, they are being persecuted by this mighty power of Nigerian government being controlled by the Fulani, and because they are Christians, they are dying, because they are martyrs, they die, for the sake of Christ and for the sake of Christianity. And they believe that's why they are being persecuted, which in a way, if people don't know any better, if they're not educated enough, that once you have option, that belief become redundant, it becomes difficult to if no other avenue for them to reason and think, okay, I have option, therefore I have to use it, instead of believing that, okay, I have to die just for the sake of dying in order to be able to become a martyr, or for it to become a religious persecution. So I think it's something that somebody like Jacob that spoke earlier, and some prominent people in the Middle Belt can hammer on with regards to fighting with these religious leaders, because I think that they are psychologically ruining the people with religious psychology, whereby they make the people powerless by telling them that, okay, once you die for this Christian cause, then you're automatically serving Christ, and Christ will open-handedly welcome you into heaven. So it's something that they have to counter, telling them that you have option. Therefore, the idea of martyrdom, religious persecution, is actually redundant. It actually doesn't work that way. It's only when you don't have option, like the early Christians didn't have option at the time, that actually might count as martyrdom, not now that you have every option left open to you. Thank you, Mazi.
Thank you very much. On that note, I will say, everybody, thank you very much for being part of this conversation. I mean, as Dan said, the conversation would obviously continue, and it is indeed sad to see what had happened yesterday. I mean, in Jos, it breaks someone's heart looking at that video, watching these young children being slaughtered in that way. And sadly, to tell you that Nigeria is a crime scene is 24 hours later. I am yet to read any single message, and I have not seen any national address. That's how so much we value our lives. Now, imagine for 1 second that something like this happened, like in a country like Rwanda. Imagine for 1 second, I mean, I don't want to go far, go beyond Africa. Imagine for 1 second that something like this number of people died in Ghana, next door neighbor, or Togo, and up to now, there is no national address. There is something absolutely wrong with the system. There is something absolutely wrong with those that drive, the current driver that we have now. Sometimes one would only wonder, do they actually have human feelings? What is it that is wrong with them? That You know, human beings. We're not talking about goats. We're not talking about cows. Humans, 36 in one night. Yet there is no outrage. People, if you're not outraged, I am. It's absolutely insane. Honestly, it's absolutely insane. I'm short of words. Anyway, I will say good night to everybody because it's
I think Mark Jacob wants to say something.
Okay.